What if everything we know about the origins of civilization is wrong? In southeastern Turkey, archaeologists uncovered a structure older than Stonehenge, older than the Great Pyramids of Egypt, built more than 11,000 years ago by people who supposedly had no cities, no metal tools, and no advanced technology. This discovery shocked the scientific world and forced historians to rethink humanity's past. But the biggest question remains unanswered: who built Göbekli Tepe and why? For decades, historians believed that agriculture came first. People settled down, created villages, developed organized societies, and only then began constructing monuments and temples. But in the hills of southeastern Turkey, archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary, a discovery that turned that entire timeline upside down. Its name is Göbekli Tepe, and it may be one of the greatest archaeological mysteries ever found. Today, we will explore its origins, its secrets, and the questions that continue to puzzle scientists around the world. Because the more we learn about Göbekli Tepe, the more impossible it seems. The story begins in southeastern Turkey, near the modern city of Şanlıurfa. For centuries, the site appeared to be nothing more than an ordinary hill. Local farmers occasionally found unusual stones while working their fields, but nobody imagined what was hidden beneath the surface. In the 1960s, researchers surveyed the area and recorded the location. However, they assumed the stone fragments belonged to a medieval cemetery and moved on. The true significance of the site remained unnoticed. Everything changed in 1994. A German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt visited the hill. The moment he saw the stone fragments protruding from the ground, he knew something was different. These weren't ordinary rocks. They appeared to be deliberately carved. Schmidt immediately suspected that a major archaeological treasure lay hidden below. Excavations began shortly afterward. What archaeologists uncovered exceeded even their wildest expectations. Massive stone pillars, circular structures, sophisticated carvings. Evidence of organized construction on a scale never before, associated with prehistoric hunter-gatherers. Layer after layer revealed an ancient complex unlike anything previously discovered, and the most shocking revelation was still to come. Radiocarbon dating indicated that some parts of Göbekli Tepe were built around 9,600 BC, more than 11,000 years ago, thousands of years before the pyramids, thousands of years before Stonehenge. At a time when humanity was supposedly living in small groups of nomadic hunters, the discovery stunned the archaeological world. To understand why Göbekli Tepe is so important, we need to understand what the world looked like at that time. Around 11,000 years ago, agriculture had not yet fully developed. Most people survived by hunting wild animals and gathering plants. They had no metal tools, no writing, no wheels, no cities. According to traditional theories, societies at this stage were relatively simple, yet Göbekli Tepe tells a different story. Some of its pillars stand more than 5 meters tall, others weigh up to 20 tons. Moving and positioning stones of this size would have required planning, cooperation, and significant manpower. But who organized these efforts? How were these stones transported? And why would hunter-gatherers invest enormous amounts of time and energy into building a monument of this scale? These questions continue to challenge researchers. Today, some experts believe thousands of people may have participated in the construction. Others argue that Göbekli Tepe proves prehistoric societies were far more sophisticated than previously believed. Whatever the answer may be, one thing is clear: the people who built Göbekli Tepe achieved something remarkable, something that shouldn't have been possible, according to the accepted timeline of human history. If the enormous stone pillars were not mysterious enough, the carvings found on them raise even more questions. Across Göbekli Tepe, archaeologists discovered hundreds of carefully carved images. Foxes, snakes, scorpions, wild boars, birds, lions, vultures. Some animals appear repeatedly throughout the site. Others appear only once. Many of the carvings are incredibly detailed. Even after more than 11,000 years, they remain clearly visible. But what did they mean? No one knows for certain. The people who built Göbekli Tepe left no written language, no records, no explanations, only stone. Some researchers believe the carvings may represent spiritual beliefs. Perhaps certain animals were considered sacred. Perhaps they represented gods, spirits, or powerful forces of nature. Others suggest they may have served as warning symbols. Messages carved into stone for future generations. There is also the possibility that the carvings recorded important stories. A prehistoric form of communication, a way of preserving knowledge before writing, existed. But among all the symbols found at Göbekli Tepe, a few stand out. Several pillars feature human-like figures, arms, hands, belts, and what appear to be loincloths. These enormous T-shaped pillars may not simply be pillars at all. Some archaeologists believe they actually represent human beings, gigantic stone ancestors watching over the site, silent, guardians from a forgotten age. And if that theory is correct, it changes how we see the entire complex. Göbekli Tepe may not have been just a gathering place. It may have been one of the first temples ever built. As archaeologists continued studying the site, a fascinating idea emerged. What if religion came before civilization? For generations, historians believe that people first developed agriculture, then villages, then organized societies, and only afterward built temples and places of worship. Göbekli Tepe suggests the opposite. Perhaps large groups of people gathered here for religious ceremonies. Perhaps these gatherings required enormous amounts of food. To feed everyone, people may have begun cultivating plants and managing resources more efficiently. In other words, the desire to gather and worship may have helped create civilization itself. If true, this would completely rewrite one of the most important chapters in human history. Some experts even call Göbekli Tepe the birthplace of organized religion. Others remain skeptical. They argue there is still not enough evidence. But regardless of which theory proves correct, Göbekli Tepe has forced researchers to reconsider assumptions that were accepted for decades. Yet the greatest mystery of Göbekli Tepe may not be how it was built. It may be why it disappeared. At some point, thousands of years after construction began, the people responsible for the site did something extraordinary. They buried it deliberately. The structures were not destroyed by war, not erased by an earthquake, not covered naturally by time. They were intentionally filled with soil, rocks and debris, layer by layer, carefully, almost as if someone wanted to preserve them or hide them. Archaeologists estimate that thousands of cubic meters of material were used to cover the complex. This would have required an enormous effort. Why would people spend generations building one of the most impressive monuments of the ancient world, only to bury it themselves? No one knows. And that question remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries. For more than 11,000 years, Göbekli Tepe remained hidden beneath the earth. Entire civilizations rose and fell. Empires were born, wars were fought. Religions spread across continents, and all that time, this ancient monument waited in silence, buried beneath a lonely hill in what is now Turkey. Today, archaeologists estimate that only a small portion of the site has been excavated. Most of Göbekli Tepe still remains underground. Waiting, hidden, unexplored, which means some of its greatest secrets may still be buried beneath the soil. Perhaps future discoveries will finally reveal who built these structures. Perhaps they will explain the strange symbols carved into the stone. And perhaps they will answer the question that continues to fascinate researchers around the world: why was Göbekli Tepe buried? But until that day comes, the site remains one of humanity's greatest mysteries. A place that shouldn't exist, a monument built before cities, before kingdoms, before written history itself. And maybe that is what makes Göbekli Tepe so fascinating. It reminds us that the story of humanity is far from complete. There are chapters we have lost, civilizations we have forgotten, and secrets still waiting to be uncovered. More than 11,000 years ago, someone stood among these stone pillars and looked at the same sky we see today. They lived, they dreamed, they believed in something, and then they vanished into history, leaving behind only questions. Questions carved in stone. Questions that may never be fully answered. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all is how much of our past still remains hidden beneath our feet.